The body, often dismissed as merely a vessel or container for our conscious experience, emerges as a central element in Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophical framework. His ideas challenge the notion that we are passive observers of an external reality and instead suggest that our bodies serve as the only direct link to the underlying nature of existence. At the heart of this perspective is the recognition that everything we perceive, be it the lush greenery of a forest, the vibrant colors of a sunset, or even the intricate details of a cityscape, is not directly accessible in its true form. Rather, these perceptions are processed and filtered through our sensory apparatus before they reach our consciousness. Each tree we see is merely an image constructed by the brain based on sensory input. The same applies to every object in our world. However, one entity stands out from this sensory stream: ourselves. Unlike external objects that appear only as representations or images within our minds, your body and its sensations are experienced directly and unfiltered. You feel pain when you stub your toe. You experience warmth on a sunny day. And these sensations aren't just mental constructs, but visceral experiences that connect us to the physical world in an immediate way. Schopenhauer's insight here is profound. The self is the only object we encounter where the boundary between perception and reality breaks down completely. While our minds interpret and categorize external stimuli, the body provides a direct line to the raw force of existence itself. This connection isn't just philosophical speculation, but an experiential truth that each of us can confirm through introspection. This bodily experience is more than just sensory feedback. It's the gateway to understanding the deeper nature of reality. The philosopher contends that this immediacy in experiencing one's body marks a unique entry point into what he calls the will, a fundamental force that animates all of existence. Unlike other perceptions which are mediated by our cognitive processes, bodily sensations bypass these filters and offer an unobstructed glimpse into the primal forces at work. The significance of this back door cannot be overstated. It means that while we interact with the world through filtered sensory experiences, there is one point where reality pierces directly through: our body. This direct experience of existence through bodily sensation allows for a unique kind of insight and access to the underlying mechanisms driving reality itself. Consider this in historical context. Ancient and modern philosophies alike have grappled with questions of perception versus reality. Plato's allegory of the cave suggests that what we perceive is merely shadows compared to the true form or essence. Descartes' cogito ergo sum highlights the certainty found in self-awareness, but leaves us wondering about the nature of our existence beyond thought. Schopenhauer's approach offers a fresh perspective by grounding these abstract inquiries into reality through the tangible and immediate experience of the body. This emphasis on bodily sensation as a point of direct access to reality sets Schopenhauer apart from his contemporaries, providing a bridge between empirical observation and philosophical speculation. To delve further, consider how this understanding transforms our relationship with pain or discomfort. What we often perceive as negative experiences can be reinterpreted through Schopenhauer's lens. These sensations are not just mental representations, but direct encounters with the will in its raw form. Pain, for instance, is an unmediated expression of the underlying force driving existence, unpleasant yet fundamentally real and unfiltered by our conceptual frameworks. The implications of this realization extend beyond personal introspection to broader philosophical and existential questions. If pain and discomfort are direct manifestations of the will, then every sensation we experience is a window into the deeper reality that underlies all of existence. This perspective shifts how we approach suffering, transforming it from an obstacle to be avoided into a profound opportunity for understanding. Moreover, this concept challenges conventional notions of free will and determinism. Traditionally, discussions about these topics often revolve around intellectual frameworks and abstract theories. However, Schopenhauer's emphasis on bodily experience brings the discussion back down to earth. Free will is not just an idea, but a lived reality, experienced through acts that bypass conscious thought and sensory filtering. In practical terms, this means that our ability to influence reality isn't solely dependent on mental constructs or logical reasoning. It also involves acting directly from within the body's direct connection to the underlying forces of existence. This insight opens up new avenues for exploring human agency and creativity, suggesting that genuine change can originate not just in thought, but through a deeper engagement with physical sensation. Furthermore, this idea has implications for understanding mental health and well-being. Modern psychology often focuses on cognitive processes and behavioral interventions to address emotional and psychological issues. However, Schopenhauer's emphasis on bodily sensation suggests an additional layer of healing that involves acknowledging and integrating these immediate experiences rather than merely working through them cognitively. By recognizing the body as a backdoor into reality, we open up new possibilities for both personal insight and broader philosophical inquiry. This direct line to the underlying forces of existence invites us to explore our relationship with reality in a more profound and visceral way. As we continue this journey, each bodily sensation becomes an opportunity not just for discomfort, but for deeper understanding and connection. In summary, Schopenhauer's perspective on the body as a backdoor into reality offers a unique and compelling approach to understanding existence. It challenges us to move beyond abstract intellectual frameworks and engage directly with our most immediate experiences. This direct connection to the raw force of existence through pain, pleasure, and everything in between provides a pathway for both personal insight and broader philosophical exploration. Why it matters: accessing the source. Code Schopenhauer's assertion that our bodies are unique biological terminals offers a profound philosophical insight into the nature of reality. This perspective, though seemingly abstract at first glance, has practical implications and deep ramifications for understanding not just our physical existence, but also our mental and emotional states. To comprehend why this backdoor matters, we need to delve deeper into Schopenhauer's philosophy of the will, which he posits as an underlying force that propels all matter in the universe. The body, in Schopenhauer's view, is not just a vessel for consciousness, but rather a direct link to the unfiltered raw force of existence, the primal urge or will. The significance of this connection lies in its potential to bypass the sensory filters and cognitive distortions that typically shape our perception of reality. When we recognize our body as the only place where the material image and the raw pulsating energy converge, it opens up a new avenue for accessing the source code of existence, the fundamental mechanisms underlying all phenomena. Schopenhauer's insight is particularly revolutionary because it challenges the conventional scientific paradigm that views sensory data as reliable indicators of an objective reality. Instead, he suggests that these perceptions are merely constructs within our minds, akin to simulations running on sophisticated software. The body stands out in this landscape as the sole point of direct contact with the underlying will. Let us consider how this perspective applies in everyday life. When we feel pain or pleasure, it is not an interpretation by our brain, but a raw experience of existence, pure sensation, unmediated by thought or imagination. This immediacy contrasts sharply with our interactions with external objects, which are filtered through layers of cognitive processing and emotional overlay. For instance, when you touch a hot stove, the initial shock and pain are direct manifestations of the will in action, the primal reaction to avoid harm. Later reflections on the event, such as regret or fear, are secondary constructions imposed by your mind's narrative framework. The body bypasses these layers during moments of raw sensory interaction. This direct access also extends to our emotional experiences. Consider a moment of intense joy, a spontaneous laugh at a joke, or an overwhelming feeling of love when seeing someone you care about deeply. These emotions, though complex and layered with social meanings, originate in the same unfiltered realm as physical sensations like pain or pleasure. They are raw expressions of the will manifesting through our bodies. Moreover, Schopenhauer's concept allows for a nuanced understanding of mental health issues, such as anxiety or depression. Traditional psychological approaches often view these conditions as imbalances within the mind's cognitive architecture. However, from Schopenhauer's perspective, these states can be seen as distortions in how we perceive and relate to our underlying will. Anxiety, for example, might not just be a fear response, but an intensified perception of the relentless drive that is at work beneath all conscious thoughts, a constant push towards survival or change. Depression could be interpreted as a state where this relentless drive seems unattainable or futile, leading to feelings of despair and helplessness. Understanding our bodies as direct conduits to this primal force provides tools for mental health interventions beyond merely cognitive restructuring. Practices like mindfulness meditation aim to strip away the layers of thought and emotion to access these raw sensations directly, which aligns with Schopenhauer's vision of a direct experience. Moving forward, recognizing the body as a backdoor into reality also impacts our ethical understanding. If we consider all beings capable of experiencing the will through their physical form, it raises questions about moral responsibility towards others and non-human entities that feel pain and pleasure in similar ways. Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to reconsider not only how we perceive reality, but also how we act within it. The body as a direct link to the will suggests an ethics rooted in empathy for all living beings, recognizing their shared capacity for raw experience. In practical terms, this insight can transform our daily interactions and decisions. By acknowledging that every being has access to this primal force through its physical form, we are compelled to treat others with compassion and respect, reflecting a deeper understanding of interconnectedness and mutual vulnerability. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's perspective offers a framework for approaching challenges and setbacks with resilience and clarity. When faced with difficulties, viewing these experiences as manifestations of the will's relentless drive can provide a sense of purpose and continuity rather than despair or frustration. Challenges become opportunities to understand oneself more deeply, recognizing that the struggle is part of the fundamental nature of existence itself, an expression of the will's constant striving. This perspective shifts from seeing obstacles as personal failings to viewing them as essential aspects of the journey towards deeper self-understanding and growth. In conclusion, Schopenhauer's insight into our bodies as unique biological terminals opens a door to an intimate understanding of reality that transcends traditional intellectual frameworks. By recognizing the raw force of existence directly through our physical sensations, we gain access to a profound source code, a direct line to the underlying mechanics governing all phenomena. This connection not only enriches our personal experiences, but also offers new avenues for ethical considerations and practical problem solving. It challenges us to view reality with a deeper sense of interconnectedness and empathy, while providing tools for navigating life's complexities with greater clarity and resilience. Space and time are not external realities. They are the grid lines of your mind's software, meticulously plotted to organize your conscious experience into an understandable framework. You perceive objects as distant or events as having occurred in the past simply because these notions serve as logical containers within which you can classify sensory input. Consider a tree standing at some distance from you. Your brain tells you that this is a far-away object, but what does that really mean? The actual photons hitting your retina could just as easily be interpreted as being right next to you if the neural pathways were rewired accordingly. Instead of thinking about space and time as objective facts, we must accept them for what they truly are, categories of perception used by your mind to structure reality into comprehensible chunks. If this seems like a stretch or an oversimplification, look no further than dreams and hallucinations as evidence that our perceptions of physical distance and duration can indeed be altered significantly. These instances reveal that space and time aren't inherent qualities, but are instead constructs fabricated by the brain to give order to the chaotic data stream it receives from sensory inputs. Schopenhauer's philosophy delves deep into this idea, arguing that when we speak about space or time, what we're really talking about is how our minds filter and interpret stimuli. This means everything you perceive as existing independently of yourself, trees, buildings, planets, is actually a mental construct designed to help your consciousness make sense of the world around it. This realization opens up a fascinating possibility. If physical laws are just settings in this mental interface, then altering those settings could theoretically lead to what we commonly refer to as supernatural events. In other words, breaking through the barrier imposed by sensory filters allows you to engage directly with reality on an existential level rather than merely reacting to its pre-programmed appearances. A good way to conceptualize this is imagining space and time like a software application running on your computer. Just as you can change how a program operates by modifying its code, so too might one alter their experience of reality by understanding it fundamentally as an interface over which control can be exerted if approached with sufficient insight and mental acuity. To illustrate this concept further, consider the idea that the brain serves as a kind of firewall between us and raw existence. It processes incoming sensory data through various layers of abstraction before presenting us with our everyday experience. By recognizing space and time simply as categories rather than intrinsic features of reality itself, we begin to see past these filters to perceive things in their purest form. But what does this mean for us? If the world around us is nothing more than a series of simulations running through our minds, albeit incredibly convincing ones, the potential exists not only to understand, but also to manipulate these simulations. This isn't magic in the traditional sense, but rather recognizing that the laws governing reality are like rules programmed into a game. By understanding how those rules work, one can potentially bend or break them. For example, consider the concept of teleportation. In our conventional way of thinking, moving through space requires traversing distance step by step, obeying Newtonian physics without exception. However, if we embrace Schopenhauer's notion that reality is a sensory simulation, then the idea of instantaneously appearing somewhere else becomes less outrageous because it challenges us to think outside the constraints imposed by our perceptual apparatus. The implications here are profound. If your consciousness can exert control over the underlying code that shapes physical reality, then impossibles, events might simply be software errors waiting to be corrected or manipulated. This isn't about defying the laws of physics in a literal sense, but rather understanding those laws as constructs created by our brains for organizing perception. A practical application might involve focusing one's will intensely enough to trigger these kinds of anomalies. For instance, someone deeply focused on an outcome may experience phenomena that seem miraculous because their intense concentration bypasses typical causal chains and instead interacts directly with the underlying force driving reality, the will itself. This shift in perspective challenges us to rethink not only our relationship with physical laws, but also how we perceive free will, consciousness, and the nature of causality. It suggests that rather than being passive recipients of a deterministic universe, humans might possess latent abilities to influence their environments beyond conventional means. However, this power does come with responsibility. Understanding reality as a sensory simulation demands ethical consideration for one's actions within it. Recognizing that what we perceive as solid objects and events occurring over time are merely constructs of our minds can foster a deeper empathy towards others, since their perceptions may be different from ours. Moreover, grasping this concept opens up pathways to practical problem solving by encouraging us to look beyond surface-level phenomena. It invites us to investigate reality at its core, searching for the fundamental principles that govern existence and how they manifest in our everyday experiences. In essence, Schopenhauer's insights into sensory simulation offer a powerful toolset for navigating life's complexities with greater clarity and resilience. By shifting focus from material appearances to underlying existential forces, we can unlock new dimensions of understanding and interaction within the world around us. space and time are not external realities, but rather grid lines of your mind's software. You experience them as tangible, yet they are nothing more than categories of perception used to keep the simulation organized within your consciousness. Schopenhauer's philosophy delves into this idea with profound implications for understanding reality itself. Imagine standing in a vast field under an endless sky at dusk. The stars above seem distant and unreachable, but is that distance truly real? When we perceive space as expansive or time as linear, these concepts are merely constructs of the mind designed to categorize our experiences and make sense of sensory inputs. The way you feel time pass, a second dragging on like an eternity when waiting for a bus, yet flying by during moments of enjoyment, is not an inherent property of time itself, but rather a reflection of your subjective experience. Schopenhauer argues that the phenomena we encounter are filtered through our senses and interpreted by our minds. Space and time, as external entities, do not exist independently from perception. They are categories imposed upon the raw data provided by sensory input to form coherent narratives about reality. This perspective invites a reconsideration of how we relate to these fundamental aspects of existence. Consider the act of reaching for an object across a room. Your mind calculates distance and trajectory based on spatial coordinates, but what if those coordinates are mere mental constructs? The object itself does not exist in isolation. It is part of a vast network of relationships defined by your perception. When you touch that object, it feels solid because your senses confirm its existence through tactile feedback, reinforcing the illusion of an external world governed by objective space and time. However, this view challenges conventional notions of reality. If space and time are not intrinsic features but rather perceptual categories, then the laws governing their behavior might be subject to manipulation. The rigid framework imposed by physics is a reflection of how our minds organize sensory data into comprehensible narratives. This understanding opens up possibilities for transcending apparent physical constraints. Imagine encountering The point of perceived reality lies at the intersection of philosophy and perception, challenging our conventional notions of space, time, and causality. If we consider the universe as a grand simulation orchestrated by our minds, then every object we perceive is merely an interpretation of sensory data processed through a complex neurological network. This perspective invites us to reconsider the fundamental nature of reality itself. Imagine standing in a vast forest on a bright summer morning. The trees seem to stretch endlessly into the distance, their forms defined and distinct against the blue sky above. Yet, Schopenhauer's philosophy prompts us to question this sensory illusion. We are not truly perceiving the world as it exists independently, rather, we are experiencing a mental construct that organizes raw sensory data into coherent images of trees, sunlight, and open space. This idea is rooted in ancient philosophical traditions, such as those found in Hinduism's Advaita Vedanta and Buddhism's Madhyamaka. These schools argue for the illusory nature of perceived reality, emphasizing instead a more profound truth beyond sensory perception. In contemporary philosophy, similar ideas have been developed by figures like Immanuel Kant and Berkeley, who argued that our understanding of space and time is inherently subjective. Schopenhauer builds upon these foundations, asserting that objects in space and time are not merely illusory, but also products of a deeper underlying force he calls the will. The will is an eternal, blind striving that expresses itself through all phenomena, from the simplest atom to complex human consciousness. It is not a conscious force with desires or intentions, rather, it is a fundamental aspect of existence that drives everything towards its own continuation. This concept challenges traditional views of causality and determinism. If reality is governed by an overarching will rather than strict physical laws, then the rigid framework imposed by physics might be seen as a reflection of how our minds organize sensory data into comprehensible narratives. This understanding opens up possibilities for transcending apparent physical constraints. Consider the implications if space and time are indeed perceptual categories rather than intrinsic features of reality. If we accept that these dimensions exist only within our consciousness, then the laws governing their behavior might be subject to manipulation by a sufficiently concentrated mind. The rigid framework imposed by physics is not an immutable truth, but a narrative constructed by our cognitive processes. To illustrate this idea further, imagine encountering an anomaly in nature, a sudden and inexplicable occurrence that defies conventional understanding of physical laws. From the perspective of Schopenhauer's philosophy, such events are not violations of natural order, but rather manifestations of the underlying will, breaking through the layers of perceptual categorization. They represent glimpses of a reality beyond our sensory constructs, where the strictures of space and time do not apply. The challenge then becomes recognizing that these anomalies are not random occurrences, but expressions of the deeper truth that lies beneath perceived reality. By focusing one's mind on this underlying will, rather than the material images processed through sensory perception, it is possible to bypass conventional causality and influence events directly at their source. This notion aligns with ancient practices in various spiritual traditions aimed at transcending ordinary consciousness. Techniques such as meditation, contemplation, and asceticism aim not just to calm the mind, but also to shift one's awareness from sensory perceptions towards a more direct experience of reality. In doing so, practitioners seek to bypass the conventional narrative imposed by space and time, accessing instead the underlying will that defines existence. However, recognizing this potential is only the first step. The true challenge lies in translating this understanding into practical action. How does one act upon the will without succumbing to the limitations of sensory perception? This requires a deep level of self-awareness and detachment from conventional notions of reality, as well as an intense focus on the underlying forces that govern existence. Schopenhauer himself emphasized that true liberation comes not through gaining power over external phenomena, but by understanding their illusory nature. The underlying reality of existence, as Schopenhauer elucidates, is not the world of appearances, but rather an unceasing force that drives all phenomena. This essence, which he terms the will, is the fundamental principle governing everything in the universe. It is a constant and relentless striving without any inherent goal or purpose. Unlike many other philosophical schools of thought, Schopenhauer's conception of the will is devoid of consciousness. It does not seek to fulfill desires or realize concepts, but operates as an intrinsic necessity that permeates every aspect of existence. To understand this concept more deeply, one must first grasp its implications beyond mere abstract theory. The will acts at all scales, from the microscopic interactions within cells to the vast cosmic dynamics governing the universe. This omnipresence underscores a profound unity in nature, a singular force expressing itself through diverse forms and phenomena. For instance, the drive of an amoeba to seek nutrients is fundamentally no different from the gravitational pull between celestial bodies. Both are manifestations of this underlying will. This understanding challenges conventional notions of causality. Typically, cause and effect relationships govern our perception of how events unfold in the world. However, Schopenhauer argues that these phenomena arise not as a result of one another, but through the expression of the same fundamental force at varying levels and resolutions. This perspective offers a radical reinterpretation of physical laws. Gravity, for example, is not merely an attractive force between masses. It is the will expressing itself in such a way to maintain order and coherence within the cosmic structure. Schopenhauer's concept of the will also encompasses human desires and motivations. The hunger we feel when we are hungry, or the desire to possess something valuable, these impulses arise from the same root as the forces that govern the physical world. This parallelism is key to understanding why Schopenhauer viewed the individual will in humans as a part of, rather than distinct from, this universal force. It implies that our personal wants and needs are not unique, but rather expressions of an overarching will that seeks to perpetuate itself through all forms. The idea that our inner desires mirror the forces at play in the external world has significant implications for how we perceive reality. In Schopenhauer's framework, the subjective experiences of individuals are not separate from the objective phenomena observed by science. Instead, both are facets of this overarching will, manifesting itself in different contexts. This interconnectedness suggests a fundamental unity between consciousness and its objects. Moreover, recognizing the will as the underlying force behind all phenomena provides insight into the nature of suffering and desire. Schopenhauer posits that human beings suffer because they mistake their desires for realizable goals. They seek fulfillment through transient pleasures or achievements, which only feed the insatiable appetite of the will. This relentless pursuit of satisfaction perpetuates a cycle of dissatisfaction, as one desire is always followed by another. The will remains unfulfilled and continues to drive individuals toward further desires. The concept of the will also offers a lens through which to view ethical considerations. Traditional moral philosophies often rely on notions of duty, virtue, or utility to determine right from wrong actions. Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests an alternative framework rooted in the understanding that true morality lies in recognizing and minimizing the influence of one's individual will upon others. In this perspective, causing suffering to another person is a direct manifestation of one's own will overpowering theirs. Furthermore, the idea of the will as the source code of reality extends beyond ethical considerations into metaphysical questions about existence itself. Schopenhauer explores the relationship between freedom and necessity by examining the role of individual will within the larger context of universal will. He argues that while individuals may feel a sense of agency in their actions, this is an illusion born from ignorance of the true nature of reality. In essence, all human choices and decisions are ultimately expressions of the same underlying force. This understanding leads to a radical re-evaluation of personal autonomy and free will. Rather than being autonomous agents making independent choices, individuals are more akin to actors on a stage whose movements are predetermined by the script written in the language of will. This deterministic view challenges conventional notions of responsibility and accountability. If all actions are expressions of an unchanging force, then concepts such as moral culpability or personal achievement become problematic. Schopenhauer's insights into the nature of reality through the lens of will also have implications for our understanding of time and space. Traditional physics views these dimensions as fundamental aspects of the universe, but Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests that they are constructs generated by human consciousness to organize experiences. Space and time serve as categories within which phenomena occur, but they do not dictate how or why those events happen. Instead, it is the will that animates everything within this framework. Exploring the concept of will further reveals its role in shaping personal identity. Schopenhauer argues that individual consciousness arises from the way in which the will expresses itself through a particular body and mind. This perspective challenges traditional notions of selfhood as a stable, enduring entity distinct from external reality. Instead, it suggests that the self is a dynamic construct emerging from the interplay between the universal will and specific biological and psychological factors. Schopenhauer's philosophy thus invites us to question our conventional understanding of personal identity and existence itself. By recognizing the underlying unity of all phenomena, we are encouraged to view ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as integral parts of a larger reality governed by a single force. This perspective offers a profound sense of interconnectedness that transcends individual boundaries. In conclusion, Schopenhauer's concept of will provides a powerful framework for understanding the fundamental nature of reality and our place within it. By viewing existence through this lens, we gain insight into the intricate connections between physical laws, human desires, and ethical considerations. This holistic approach challenges us to reconsider long-held beliefs about freedom, responsibility, and selfhood, while offering a profound perspective on the unity of all phenomena in an ever-expanding universe governed by a singular, unifying force. The starting point of understanding Schopenhauer's philosophy is recognizing that every aspect of our existence, from the most mundane to the profoundly spiritual, revolves around one central concept: the will. This universal force is not merely an abstract idea, but a living, pulsating reality at the core of all things. It is both the engine driving the universe and the source of individual human desires. Arthur Schopenhauer, a 19th century German philosopher, introduced this revolutionary perspective by challenging the then prevailing idealism and empiricism of his time. Idealists like Immanuel Kant believed that reality is constructed through our perceptions, while empiricists argued for an objective world accessible through sensory experience. Schopenhauer's will transcended these divisions, proposing instead a monistic view where all phenomena are expressions of this underlying force. The will does not strive for any particular goal or object, rather it seeks to exist and consume endlessly. This drive is blind, relentless, and unceasing, manifesting in every form from the simple act of grasping an apple to the complex machinations of human society. In Schopenhauer's view, all physical laws, ethical principles, and personal desires are expressions of this singular force. To better understand the will, consider its manifestations across different scales. At the macro level, the gravitational pull that binds galaxies together is a direct expression of the will's urge to dominate and consume. Stars burn with the same fiery intensity as our own hearts yearning for love or fulfillment. The intricate dance of electrons around atomic nuclei mirrors the ceaseless striving within living organisms. Schopenhauer's concept of the will also has profound implications for human psychology. Our desires, fears, ambitions, and anxieties are all driven by this fundamental force. Every action we take, eating when hungry, sleeping when tired, is an attempt to quell some manifestation of the will through external means. Yet, no matter how much we satisfy our cravings, a new hunger always arises, perpetuating the cycle. Moreover, Schopenhauer saw the will as inherently negative and disruptive. It is the source of suffering because it never finds lasting satisfaction. Each desire fulfilled only leads to another, creating an endless chain of want that can never be truly sated. This perspective challenges traditional notions of happiness and fulfillment, which often emphasize the importance of achieving goals or attaining desires. The universality of the will extends beyond individual human experience into the realm of ethics. Schopenhauer argued that moral actions are not driven by altruism or duty, but rather by a recognition of the shared nature of suffering. When we act compassionately towards others, it is because we recognize their will as fundamentally similar to our own and seek to alleviate its torment. In considering the implications for ethical behavior, Schopenhauer's philosophy leads us toward an ascetic worldview that seeks to minimize desire rather than satisfy it. By denying the will through practices such as fasting, abstinence, or solitude, individuals can reduce their connection to the painful cycle of striving and suffering. This path towards non-attachment is seen as a form of liberation from the constraints imposed by the material world. However, understanding the will goes beyond mere philosophical contemplation. It offers practical insights into human behavior and societal structures. For instance, Schopenhauer's analysis can be applied to comprehend phenomena such as addiction or consumerism, where individuals seek temporary satisfaction through external means while exacerbating their underlying dissatisfaction with life. Similarly, political systems that cater to mass desires often perpetuate cycles of discontentment rather than fostering genuine well-being. In conclusion, Schopenhauer's concept of the will provides a comprehensive framework for understanding not only personal desire, but also broader patterns in human behavior and societal organization. It challenges us to reevaluate our relationship with the world around us and offers profound insights into the nature of existence itself. Underneath the flickering lights of the material world, there is only one thing that truly exists and moves everything in its wake, an eternal, blind, and mindless hunger. This force, as Schopenhauer describes it, is called the will. It does not seek to achieve specific goals, rather, it simply desires to exist and consume. In this chapter, we explore how understanding the nature of this universal will can illuminate the true power that lies within individual intent. The concept of the will is at the core of Schopenhauer's philosophy, serving as a unifying principle for all phenomena in existence. The will is not just an abstract idea, but is embodied in every aspect of reality. From the gravitational pull of distant stars to the simple act of lifting a pencil or feeling hunger pains, these are all manifestations of the same underlying force. Schopenhauer's insight reveals that what we perceive as distinct and separate entities in our world are merely different resolutions of this one fundamental will. The law of gravity that keeps planets orbiting their suns is no different from the desire to eat when your stomach growls. Both stem from the same root cause, the blind hunger for existence. By recognizing this commonality, we begin to see how interconnected everything truly is. This realization opens up a profound understanding of causality and the nature of reality itself. In Schopenhauer's framework, every event in the universe has its origin not in some external force, but in the inherent desire or will that compels it forward. When you lift your arm to scratch an itch, what is happening isn't merely the result of a decision made by your conscious mind. Rather, it is an expression of the deeper drive within the will seeking relief and continuation. The implications of this insight extend far beyond abstract philosophical musings. It suggests that every action we take is part of a larger fabric woven from the threads of universal desire. Our personal intentions are not isolated or disconnected, but are integral parts of this vast tapestry, interwoven with all other expressions of will in existence. Understanding the nature of the will helps us grasp why our individual intents carry such power. If we accept that everything in the universe is driven by this same force, then every conscious decision and action we make can be seen as a direct manipulation of this fundamental reality. When you decide to pick up your coffee mug, it's not just your hand moving, but an expression of the will manifesting itself through you. By recognizing this interconnectedness, we start to see how our individual intents are potent forces that ripple out into the world. This perspective also sheds light on why magic and seemingly impossible feats can be perceived as real phenomena within certain cultural contexts. If the rules governing physical reality are merely expressions of the will, then manipulating these rules through focused intent is not as far-fetched as it may seem. When an individual focuses their consciousness intensely upon a goal, they are essentially acting directly on this fundamental force rather than adhering to conventional laws and limitations. Consider the stories of individuals who have seemingly defied physical constraints, such as levitation or spontaneous healing. In Schopenhauer's framework, these instances can be understood not as supernatural occurrences, but as expressions of an individual's intent exerting itself directly on the will. By bypassing the usual sensory filters and cognitive barriers, these individuals are acting upon reality at a deeper level than is typically possible through ordinary means. This understanding has significant practical implications for personal agency and empowerment. If our intentions can affect this fundamental force that drives all of existence, then cultivating a clear and focused will becomes paramount. This doesn't mean abandoning reason or science, but rather integrating an intuitive sense of interconnectedness into our daily lives and decision-making processes. Moreover, recognizing the universal will allows us to view suffering and dissatisfaction in a new light. Schopenhauer argues that the perpetual hunger of the will is ultimately the source of all suffering. Every desire we fulfill merely sets up another, and thus no amount of material or sensory satisfaction can truly quench this insatiable need for existence. This realization leads many to question whether fulfilling desires is genuinely beneficial. However, Schopenhauer also provides a path forward, one that involves not resisting the will, but rather understanding its nature and working with it in a more enlightened way. By becoming aware of how the will operates within us and around us, we can approach our lives from a place of greater insight and freedom. Instead of futilely chasing after desires that only perpetuate suffering, we learn to align our actions with a deeper sense of purpose. This alignment isn't about denying or repressing desires, but rather understanding their true nature and working within the limits they impose. For example, instead of seeking endless pleasure through material goods, one might find fulfillment in simpler joys that do not feed into the cycle of perpetual desire and disappointment. By recognizing the inherent limitations imposed by the will's insatiable hunger, we can live more authentically and with greater contentment. In conclusion, Schopenhauer's concept of the will offers a powerful framework for understanding both our individual intents and their place within the broader tapestry of existence. It underscores the profound connection between personal agency and universal forces, revealing that our actions are far more impactful than they may initially appear. By embracing this interconnectedness, we can cultivate a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment in our lives, navigating through the complexities of reality with greater clarity and freedom. Acting without cause, bypassing causality, is one of the most profound and challenging aspects of Schopenhauer's philosophy. It is an exploration into how our conscious minds can transcend the rigid frameworks that govern everyday reality, offering a glimpse into the deeper layers of existence where conventional laws no longer apply. Schopenhauer asserts that the will operates beyond the boundaries of time and space. This means it exists outside the constraints of cause and effect, which are integral to our understanding of the material world. In this context, causality is seen as a filter through which we perceive reality. It's not an intrinsic feature of existence itself, but rather a construct imposed by our minds. To comprehend acting without cause, we need to delve into Schopenhauer's concept of the will and how it manifests in our daily lives. The will is an eternal, unthinking force that seeks nothing more than its own perpetuation. It drives every action from the simplest biological function like breathing or digesting food to complex psychological phenomena such as seeking knowledge or creating art. The key insight here is that all these actions are expressions of the same fundamental drive, the will's relentless quest for continued existence and expression. This understanding reveals a profound interconnectedness between our individual intents and the broader forces that shape the universe. When we act, we are tapping into this universal energy. Our intentions are not isolated phenomena, but rather resonate with the underlying currents that permeate reality. By embracing this perspective, Schopenhauer suggests that our actions can become more potent and meaningful because they align with a force that transcends personal limitations. This is not merely theoretical, it has practical implications for how we navigate life's challenges. For instance, when faced with obstacles or seemingly insurmountable difficulties, recognizing the underlying will helps us see beyond immediate circumstances to the enduring truth of existence. Let's consider an example. Imagine you are trying to break a bad habit like smoking cigarettes. Conventional approaches might focus on understanding the chemical dependencies involved and devising strategies to overcome them through willpower or medication. However, from Schopenhauer's perspective, this misses the broader context in which these habits arise. The craving for nicotine is an expression of the will seeking satisfaction. It is a manifestation of the underlying drive for fulfillment. In such situations, simply addressing the surface-level symptoms often proves insufficient because they don't address the deeper current driving behavior. Instead, Schopenhauer encourages us to look at how our actions can be redirected or reinterpreted to align with a more profound understanding of the will's nature. By recognizing that every act is part of this greater flow, we can find new ways to channel energy towards constructive ends rather than destructive ones. This concept extends beyond personal habits and into broader contexts such as societal change or creative endeavors. Take, for instance, someone working on a groundbreaking scientific discovery. Conventional wisdom might dictate that success depends largely upon intellectual prowess, financial resources, and the right set of circumstances aligning perfectly. However, Schopenhauer would argue there's more at play. The act of making such a discovery is an expression of the will seeking to manifest itself in new ways, pushing boundaries and expanding human understanding. By focusing on this deeper connection with the universal force driving progress, researchers might find greater resilience against setbacks and clearer insights into their work. This aligns with the idea that true innovation often arises from moments where established norms seem inadequate or insufficient. Schopenhauer's framework also offers a unique perspective on miracles and seemingly impossible feats. In conventional thought, these phenomena are seen as violations of natural laws, a break in causality as we know it. But through his lens, these events can be understood as instances where the conscious mind acts directly upon the will rather than trying to navigate material constraints. For example, consider a story of someone who suddenly overcomes an intense fear and dives into a lake to save another person, despite having no previous training in water rescue techniques. From a conventional standpoint, this act defies logic. It appears miraculous because it bypasses the typical chain of events required for such actions. However, if we view it through Schopenhauer's concept of acting without cause, we see that the individual tapped into something beyond their usual capacity, something deeper and more fundamental. In this moment, the person acted directly on the will rather than following the conventional path. They bypassed established constraints to achieve what seemed impossible because they engaged with a level of existence not bound by those rules. This is why miracles often appear spontaneous. They arise from moments when our minds align closely enough with the fundamental forces at play. Understanding acting without cause also has implications for how we approach problems and opportunities in life. Conventional wisdom suggests that success or failure depends largely on external factors like chance, skill, and timing. However, Schopenhauer's philosophy encourages a different perspective, focusing not just on what can be achieved through effort, but also on what lies beyond such efforts, what emerges from directly engaging with the will. For instance, consider an entrepreneur facing significant challenges in launching a new business. Traditional advice might emphasize resilience and persistence as keys to eventual success. Yet, Schopenhauer's view would highlight the importance of transcending conventional strategies by tapping into the deeper currents driving one's efforts. By aligning closely with these underlying forces, whether through intuition, creativity, or unexpected insights, one can bypass traditional barriers to success. This concept is not about dismissing effort and hard work, but rather seeing them in a new light. Effort becomes a means to access something greater. It's the bridge that connects us to our true potential when we act beyond mere causality. Moreover, Schopenhauer's ideas offer insight into why certain individuals seem to experience inexplicable breakthroughs or moments of profound clarity. These instances often arise from periods of intense focus and deep engagement with one's intentions. By suspending conventional thought patterns and tapping directly into the will's energy, these individuals bypass typical mental filters that might otherwise impede progress. For example, in creative fields such as literature or music, inspiration can strike suddenly when an artist is fully immersed in their work. This moment of insight often feels like a direct communication from the unconscious mind, a form of acting without cause, where preconceived notions and habitual thought processes are set aside to allow for fresh perspectives. In summary, Schopenhauer's concept of acting without cause challenges us to rethink our relationship with reality and our place within it. It suggests that by understanding the deeper nature of existence as expressed through the will, we can transcend traditional limitations and tap into greater sources of power and clarity. This perspective invites us to see beyond conventional wisdom and embrace a more nuanced view of causality, a view where the boundaries between self and universe blur, revealing a unity far richer than what meets the eye. Ultimately, this chapter serves as an invitation to explore how our actions are not isolated events, but rather expressions of something greater. By embracing the interconnectedness and transcendent nature of the will, we gain new tools for navigating life's complexities with deeper insight and broader perspective. The realization that we are not mere observers of reality, but active participants in shaping it through our minds and wills, marks a profound shift in understanding the nature of causality. We have explored the notion that space and time are constructs within our perception, allowing us to organize the chaotic sensory input streaming into our brains. But now, let's delve deeper into how this perspective can unlock doors previously thought unopenable. Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests a radical idea. Every event in the universe is an expression of the will. The will is not just the desire and striving within us, it permeates everything from the smallest particle to the grandest cosmic forces. This means that when you reach out your hand to grasp an object, you are not merely engaging with the physical world, you are expressing the fundamental force that governs all existence. In conventional causality, events follow each other in a linear sequence. A causes B causes C. But Schopenhauer's concept of the will transcends this linearity. The concept of reality is often perceived as an unyielding, immutable force that governs our existence. However, the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer proposed a radical idea. Every event in the universe is not just causally linked, but is fundamentally an expression of what he termed the will. This isn't merely a philosophical abstraction, it's a profound shift in understanding how reality itself functions and interacts with us. Schopenhauer's philosophy challenges conventional notions of causality. In our everyday lives, we often think about cause and effect relationships as linear sequences. A causes B, which then causes C, and so on. But Schopenhauer suggests that these events are not separate occurrences, they are manifestations of the underlying will. When you reach out your hand to grasp an apple from a tree, it's not simply a mechanical action in a physical world. Rather, you are expressing the fundamental force that underpins all existence. This will, Schopenhauer argues, is not confined solely within human consciousness or desires. It permeates everything, from the smallest subatomic particles to vast cosmic forces. This means that when we act upon the world around us, we're not just interacting with matter and energy as passive observers, we are actively engaging with this underlying force. The implications of Schopenhauer's concept are far-reaching. If every event is an expression of will, then our actions are more than mere reactions to stimuli. They are part of a grander, interconnected web of causality that extends beyond the boundaries of personal experience into the fabric of reality itself. This perspective transforms how we perceive ourselves and our role within the universe. But Schopenhauer's philosophy doesn't stop at the assertion that will is the driving force behind all events. It goes further to suggest a way in which this understanding can be leveraged to unlock doors previously thought unopenable. Imagine if you could not only understand causality, but also influence it directly, bypassing conventional limitations and constraints. This idea moves us from passive observers of reality to active participants shaping it. In Schopenhauer's framework, the key lies in recognizing that our will is part of this broader will. Therefore, by understanding and aligning with it, we can harness its power more effectively. It's akin to finding a cheat code for reality, an insight into how to interact with the world beyond traditional causal relationships. The notion of a cheat code for reality might sound like something from science fiction or fantasy literature, but Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a serious and profound exploration of this idea. If we accept that our will is intertwined with the fundamental force governing all events, then understanding this connection allows us to transcend conventional limitations. Schopenhauer's concept of will challenges us to rethink not just how causality operates within reality, but also how we can interact with it more effectively. It suggests that by tapping into and aligning with the underlying will of the universe, we can navigate and influence our world in ways previously unimagined. This isn't about changing physical laws or bending reality. Rather, it's about seeing ourselves as part of a greater causal network and understanding how to move within it more intelligently. To grasp this idea fully, consider Schopenhauer's emphasis on the role of consciousness in perceiving reality. He argues that our perception of space and time is not an absolute given, but a construct we impose upon sensory input to make sense of the world around us. This means that while physical laws describe how matter and energy interact under observable conditions, they do not capture the full complexity of causality when viewed through Schopenhauer's lens. Understanding Will as the fundamental force driving all events implies that our conscious choices are more than just personal decisions. They are part of a larger, interconnected causal chain. By recognizing this, we can begin to influence reality in ways that go beyond conventional thinking and action. This is where the idea of a cheat code comes into play. By understanding Schopenhauer's concept, we gain insight into how to interact with reality more effectively. Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to view our will as an integral part of this universal force. When we align ourselves with this greater will, rather than fighting against it or simply reacting to its manifestations, we can achieve a deeper level of understanding and influence over the events in our lives. This alignment is not about manipulating reality, but about perceiving and acting within it more wisely. The cheat code for reality, then, lies in recognizing that every action and decision we make is part of this grand causal network. By embracing Schopenhauer's concept of will, we can navigate the complexities of causality with a deeper understanding and more effective approach. This perspective transforms our relationship with reality from one of passive acceptance to active participation, opening doors to new possibilities and insights. In conclusion, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers us not just an intriguing idea, but a profound shift in how we perceive and interact with the world around us. By recognizing that every event is part of a larger causal chain driven by will, we can move beyond conventional causality into a realm where understanding and influence become intertwined. This journey from passive observation to active participation marks a transformative step towards unlocking the true potential of reality. Arthur Schopenhauer was born on February 27, 1788, in Danzig, Poland, which was then under Prussian control. His father's family had been merchants and bankers for generations, but Arthur's father, Heinrich Floris Schopenhauer, decided to pursue a diplomatic career. This decision took the family from their mercantile roots to the intellectual circles of European society. Heinrich was an avid reader and writer, and his influence on young Arthur was profound. The elder Schopenhauer wanted his son to experience life in different parts of Europe before settling down, so they moved to Hamburg when Arthur turned 11. It was there that he received a rigorous education in languages, literature, history, and philosophy, all of which would shape the future philosopher's intellectual foundations. At the age of 18, Arthur left for Berlin to study at the University of Halle. He initially intended to pursue law, but quickly became captivated by philosophy, particularly the works of Immanuel Kant and Plato. Schopenhauer's exposure to German idealism during his studies was formative, yet he found himself increasingly critical of its reliance on abstract reasoning over empirical evidence. This critique would become a cornerstone of his philosophical identity. In 1809, after completing his doctoral dissertation in Halle, Schopenhauer moved to Weimar, then the cultural and intellectual capital of Germany. There he encountered Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who introduced him to Friedrich Nietzsche's mother and future wife, Johanna Koenig. However, despite their initial camaraderie, Schopenhauer grew increasingly disillusioned with the superficiality and vanity of Weimar's social circles. He sought refuge in his philosophical studies and wrote extensively on aesthetics, epistemology, and ethics. Schopenhauer's first major work, The World as Will and Representation, was published in 1818 when he was 30 years old. This groundbreaking treatise challenged prevailing philosophical theories by proposing that the essence of reality is not rational thought or sensory experience, but rather an underlying force called the will. According to Schopenhauer, this will manifests itself in our desires, emotions, and actions, driving us through life like a relentless tide. The notion of will was revolutionary because it suggested that beneath all the superficiality of human existence lay a deeper, more primal reality. By focusing on the will, Schopenhauer aimed to move beyond the limitations of traditional philosophy and offer a new perspective on human nature, morality, and the purpose of life. His ideas quickly garnered attention but also criticism from contemporaries who found his views challenging and often pessimistic. After The World as Will and Representation, Schopenhauer continued writing prolifically over the next several decades. In 1844, he published a supplementary volume to his earlier work which delved further into ethics and aesthetics, expanding on the philosophical implications of will in everyday life. His later writings also explored the nature of pain and suffering, proposing that these are inherent aspects of existence rooted in our fundamental need for satisfaction. Schopenhauer's unique insights led him to explore various spiritual traditions, including Buddhism and Hinduism, which he saw as corroborating his own views on will and its limitations. These influences would later be recognized by figures such as Friedrich Nietzsche and Sigmund Freud, both of whom were profoundly impacted by Schopenhauer's philosophy. Despite his intellectual contributions, Schopenhauer faced professional setbacks throughout his life. He struggled to gain recognition from academic institutions and often found himself at odds with the prevailing philosophical trends of his time. Nonetheless, he continued to publish extensively until his death in 1860, leaving behind a legacy that would influence generations of thinkers. Schopenhauer's philosophy is characterized by its depth, originality, and uncompromising nature. He challenged conventional wisdom about human existence and offered a framework for understanding reality that emphasized the interplay between cause and effect driven by an underlying will. This perspective transformed how individuals might approach their daily lives, encouraging them to view actions not as isolated incidents but as integral parts of broader causal networks. By embracing Schopenhauer's concept of will, we can navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom and effectiveness. Recognizing that every action and decision is part of a larger causal chain allows us to move from passive observation to active participation in shaping reality. This shift marks a profound transformation in our relationship with the world around us. In essence, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers more than just an intriguing idea. It provides a profound reorientation towards how we perceive and interact with existence. Through understanding that each event is part of a vast causal network driven by will, we can transcend conventional causality into a realm where insight and influence become interwoven. This journey from passive observer to active participant represents a transformative step toward unlocking the true potential inherent in reality. Schopenhauer's concept of will lies at the heart of understanding reality in a profound and transformative way. It offers us a lens through which we can view every aspect of our lives as interconnected parts of an intricate causal network governed by a relentless drive that pervades all existence. This idea challenges us to move beyond passive observation into active engagement with the world around us. Arthur Schopenhauer was deeply influenced by Eastern philosophies, particularly Buddhism and Hinduism, which emphasized the cyclical nature of life and the interconnectedness of all things. For Schopenhauer, this interconnectivity is not just a metaphysical concept, it's a practical guide to navigating the complexities of daily existence. Schopenhauer believed that every action we undertake has consequences beyond our immediate perception. Our decisions do not exist in isolation, but are part of an endless chain reaction affecting others and future outcomes. By recognizing this, we can start seeing ourselves as active participants rather than mere spectators in the grand scheme of things. This shift from passive to active engagement is akin to gaining a secret code for reality. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges, we begin to understand that each challenge presents an opportunity to influence and shape our reality through thoughtful action. This perspective transforms our relationship with the world. Instead of being victims of circumstance, we become architects of our own destiny. The birth of pessimism in Schopenhauer's philosophy is often misunderstood as a call to despair or resignation. In truth, it serves as a clarion call for us to confront reality honestly and constructively. Pessimism here doesn't mean giving up, but rather recognizing the harsh truths about existence and using that knowledge to navigate life more wisely. Schopenhauer's pessimism stems from an understanding of the will as an insatiable force, always seeking satisfaction without ever achieving it truly. This constant striving leads to suffering because desires are inherently unfulfillable. Each goal achieved only sets us up for a new desire. By accepting this inherent tension between the will and reality, we can avoid futile struggles and find peace in acceptance. However, Schopenhauer's philosophy isn't solely about resignation. It also provides a path toward wisdom and effectiveness through understanding causality at a deeper level. Recognizing that every action has far-reaching consequences allows us to approach decision-making with greater awareness and responsibility. We begin to see the interconnectedness of all things and realize that even small actions can have significant impacts. For example, consider the act of kindness. In isolation, it might seem like just a single good deed. But when viewed through Schopenhauer's lens, this act is part of a larger causal network. It influences not only the recipient, but also those who witness or hear about the act, potentially inspiring further acts of kindness and fostering a ripple effect that extends far beyond its initial impact. Similarly, negative actions can have similarly broad repercussions. A momentary lapse in judgment might seem trivial, but it sets off a chain reaction affecting relationships, personal growth, and even larger societal dynamics. By understanding this interconnectedness, we become more mindful of our choices and strive to align them with wisdom rather than fleeting impulses. This shift from passive observer to active participant is the essence of Schopenhauer's philosophy. It transforms how we perceive and interact with reality. Instead of viewing events as random occurrences beyond our control, we see them as part of a larger causal network driven by will. This awareness empowers us to influence that network through thoughtful actions. Moreover, recognizing the interconnectedness of all things allows us to find meaning in life's challenges. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity for growth and self-improvement rather than a source of frustration or despair. We learn to see setbacks not as dead ends, but as paths leading toward personal transformation and enlightenment. Schopenhauer's pessimism is thus a tool for empowerment, guiding us through the complexities of life with wisdom and resilience. By embracing this philosophy, we can navigate our daily lives with greater clarity and purpose, turning passive observation into active participation in shaping reality. In summary, Schopenhauer's concept of will offers a profound reorientation towards how we perceive and interact with existence. Through understanding that each event is part of a vast causal network driven by an unceasing force, we transcend conventional causality and move from mere observers to influential participants. This transformative shift marks the beginning of unlocking true potential inherent in reality. Arthur Schopenhauer was one of philosophy's most misunderstood figures. His pessimistic view of existence often overshadowed the profound insights he offered on the human condition and our place within it. One such insight is his concept of will, a force that underpins all reality and shapes our interactions with the world around us. Schopenhauer saw will not as something we choose to exert, but rather an intrinsic part of life itself, a relentless drive propelling every event and interaction in the universe. This ubiquitous force is the secret code behind Schopenhauer's pessimism, transforming it into a pathway towards wisdom and resilience. To understand this concept fully, one must delve into its implications for how we perceive and engage with reality. In his writings, Schopenhauer describes will as an insatiable yearning that propels all beings from within. It is the underlying motive force behind every action, thought, and desire. This constant striving defines our existence and dictates our experiences in a way that challenges traditional notions of causality and free will. To comprehend this deeper sense of reality requires us to transcend conventional thinking about cause and effect. Schopenhauer suggests that everything we encounter is interconnected through an intricate web of cause and effect, each event stemming from the will's unceasing movement. Understanding this reveals a world where every moment is laden with meaning and potential. How then does one navigate such a complex reality? Schopenhauer provides guidance in his philosophy by encouraging us to move beyond mere observation to active engagement. This transformation begins by recognizing that we are not passive spectators but integral parts of the will's unfolding drama. By embracing this role, we gain the power to influence our surroundings and shape our destinies. The concept of will serves as a powerful lens through which we can view life's challenges with new eyes. Obstacles no longer serve merely as impediments. Instead, they become opportunities for growth and self-discovery. This shift in perspective allows us to confront adversity, not just stoically, but creatively, finding ways to turn setbacks into stepping stones on our path toward enlightenment. Schopenhauer's insight also offers profound implications for how we understand personal agency and moral responsibility. If will is the driving force of existence, then every choice we make ripples outward through the causal network of reality. This understanding imbues each action with greater significance, making us acutely aware of our capacity to affect change in the world around us. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's philosophy challenges us to question our assumptions about happiness and fulfillment. Traditional notions often center on external achievements or material possessions as sources of contentment. However, by delving into his ideas, we learn that true satisfaction lies in understanding and accepting the will's nature within ourselves. This shift marks a transition from seeking superficial gratification to cultivating deeper inner peace. In practical terms, this philosophy encourages introspection and mindfulness as essential tools for navigating life's complexities. By cultivating awareness of our thoughts and desires, we gain insight into the workings of the will within us. This practice enables us to act with greater intentionality and clarity, responding thoughtfully rather than impulsively to circumstances. Schopenhauer's pessimism thus becomes a catalyst for empowerment. Rather than discouraging action or fostering despair, it equips individuals with wisdom and resilience to face life's challenges head-on. Through understanding the interconnectedness of all events through will, we transcend conventional causality and move from passive observers to influential participants in shaping reality. To fully grasp Schopenhauer's concept of will is to unlock a profound reorientation towards existence itself. It encourages us to view every event not merely as an isolated incident, but as part of a vast causal network driven by an unceasing force. This transformative shift marks the beginning of unlocking true potential inherent in reality, empowering us to navigate our daily lives with greater clarity and purpose. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to embrace life's complexities rather than shying away from them. By understanding that each event is part of a larger causal tapestry driven by will, we gain the tools necessary to engage actively in shaping reality. This approach transforms passive observation into active participation, paving the way for personal transformation and enlightenment. The struggle without end is an eternal quest that echoes through every fiber of existence. From birth to death, humans are bound by the relentless cycle of desire and disappointment. In this journey lies a profound secret, one encapsulated in the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer: the will as the fundamental reality underlying all phenomena. Understanding this concept transforms our perception of daily struggles from mere obstacles to opportunities for growth and enlightenment. Schopenhauer's doctrine posits that at the heart of existence is an insatiable, blind striving known as the will. This force is not merely a personal desire, but an inherent property of reality itself, shaping every aspect of life in its ceaseless pursuit. It manifests through all living beings as their essential drive to survive and thrive, pushing them beyond comfort zones into realms of uncertainty and challenge. This unyielding force does not operate independently. Rather, it interconnects with the will present in other entities and phenomena, creating a complex web of causality. Every action, no matter how insignificant, is part of this vast tapestry woven by the universal will. Understanding this interconnectedness empowers us to see beyond superficial causes and effects, recognizing that each event has deeper roots extending far into the past. By embracing Schopenhauer's insight, we move from passive observers of life to active participants in shaping reality. This shift is akin to discovering a hidden cheat code within our existence, a key that unlocks greater control over our lives while deepening our understanding of the world around us. It teaches us to view challenges not as random or unjust, but as integral parts of a larger narrative governed by an overarching force. The implications of this revelation are profound. No longer do we question why hardships occur. Instead, we seek their place within the grand scheme of existence. We learn to find meaning and purpose in every struggle, understanding that they serve as catalysts for personal growth and transformation. This perspective is not about accepting suffering, but rather finding a way to navigate through it with greater wisdom and resilience. To fully grasp Schopenhauer's concept requires delving into the nature of causality itself. Traditional views see cause and effect as distinct events, each preceding the other in linear fashion. However, Schopenhauer challenges this by proposing that causes and effects are not separate entities but rather different manifestations of a singular underlying reality: the will. This perspective blurs the lines between past, present, and future, suggesting that every moment exists within an infinite loop of cause and effect intertwined with all others. Moreover, recognizing the interconnectedness of events through the lens of will allows us to transcend conventional causality. We begin to perceive patterns and connections where once there were none, gaining insights into how seemingly unrelated occurrences can have profound impacts on one another. For instance, a small decision made today could influence decisions tomorrow, next week, or even years down the line. Such an understanding has practical implications in everyday life. It encourages proactive engagement with challenges rather than reactive avoidance. By embracing the idea that every event is part of a larger causal tapestry driven by will, individuals can approach obstacles with greater clarity and purpose. They recognize that each action they take contributes to their ongoing narrative, shaping not only their immediate surroundings, but also influencing future possibilities. Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to embrace life's complexities rather than shying away from them. It teaches us to view struggles as opportunities for insight and growth, acknowledging that true transformation often emerges from facing our deepest fears and challenges head-on. This approach transforms passive observation into active participation, empowering individuals to navigate their lives with greater intentionality and awareness. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's teachings provide a powerful framework for reorienting one's relationship with reality. By understanding the interconnectedness of all events through will, we transcend conventional causality and move from passive observers to influential participants in shaping our existence. This shift marks the beginning of unlocking true potential inherent within us, enabling us to engage actively with life's myriad challenges while fostering personal growth and enlightenment along the way. The world is not as it seems. This paradoxical statement has been at the heart of philosophical inquiry for centuries, and nowhere does it find more profound expression than in the works of Arthur Schopenhauer. His philosophy challenges us to question our understanding of reality and invites us to embrace life's complexities rather than shying away from them. For Schopenhauer, true transformation often emerges from facing our deepest fears and challenges head-on. In his seminal work, The World as Will and Representation, Schopenhauer posits that the world is driven by a fundamental force he calls the will. This will is not just an abstract concept, but a dynamic reality, a ceaseless striving for satisfaction that manifests itself in every aspect of life. It's the driving force behind our desires, ambitions, and fears. It is also the unifying principle that connects all beings. Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to look beyond surface appearances and delve into the underlying reality. He argues that by understanding the interconnectedness of all events through the lens of will, we transcend conventional causality and move from passive observers to influential participants in shaping our existence. This profound shift marks the beginning of unlocking true potential inherent within us. But how do we navigate this complex web of will? Schopenhauer's answer lies in a concept he calls the cheat code for reality. This isn't an actual cheat code in the traditional sense, but rather a philosophical tool that allows us to understand and interact with reality on a deeper level. It is through self-reflection and introspection that we can begin to unravel the mysteries of will. Self-reflection is key because it enables us to observe our own thoughts and desires as they arise from the will. By doing so, we gain insight into the motivations behind our actions and decisions. We start to see how our inner world influences the outer one, revealing a more nuanced understanding of causality. This process transforms passive observation into active participation. Schopenhauer's approach encourages us to view struggles as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to be avoided. When we confront our deepest fears and challenges, we unlock hidden strengths and insights within ourselves. It is through these trials that we gain a deeper understanding of the will and how it shapes reality. One of Schopenhauer's most compelling ideas is the concept of the world as representation. This notion suggests that what we perceive as reality is merely an interpretation or representation constructed by our consciousness. Our perceptions are subjective, filtered through our individual experiences, desires, and fears. By understanding this, we can begin to deconstruct these representations and see beyond them. The cheat code for reality isn't about bypassing life's challenges. It's about finding deeper meaning within them. It is an invitation to engage actively with life's myriad challenges while fostering personal growth and enlightenment along the way. This engagement involves recognizing that our thoughts, emotions, and actions are not random, but are interconnected through the will. Schopenhauer emphasizes that true wisdom comes from living a life of awareness and intentional action, rather than drifting aimlessly in a sea of desires and fears. By embracing this perspective, we can transcend mere existence and begin to shape our reality with greater purpose and clarity. This is not about controlling events, but understanding the underlying dynamics at play. In practice, applying Schopenhauer's philosophy means adopting a mindset that sees challenges as opportunities for growth and insight. It requires us to step back from immediate desires and observe how they manifest through the will. By doing so, we can begin to see patterns and connections that were previously obscured by our subjective perceptions. The implications of this approach are profound. When we view reality through the lens of will, we gain a more nuanced understanding of causality. We start to see how events in our lives are not isolated occurrences, but parts of an interconnected web of influences. This can lead to greater resilience and adaptability as we learn to navigate life's challenges with intention. Moreover, Schopenhauer's teachings provide us with tools for personal development. By fostering self-awareness and introspection, we become more attuned to the underlying forces shaping our reality. We begin to see how our thoughts and actions influence not just ourselves, but also those around us. This awareness can foster greater empathy and understanding in interpersonal relationships. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a powerful framework for reorienting one's relationship with reality. It encourages us to move beyond passive observation and become active participants in shaping our lives. By embracing the complexities of will, we unlock deeper levels of self-understanding and personal growth. In conclusion, the cheat code for reality is not about escaping life's challenges, but finding profound meaning within them. It invites us to see reality as a dynamic, interconnected web rather than a series of isolated events. Through this lens, Schopenhauer's teachings offer a path toward greater wisdom, resilience, and personal fulfillment. This journey begins with a willingness to embrace life's complexities and face our deepest fears head-on. It is through these challenges that we discover the true potential within us. So, as you navigate your own reality, remember the words of Schopenhauer: "Life is a battle, but it is also an art." By embracing this philosophy, you can transform every aspect of your existence into a masterpiece of self-discovery and enlightenment. Imagine diving into the intricate layers of reality, where every moment reveals not just what is seen, but what lies beneath. This journey begins with the teachings of Arthur Schopenhauer, who challenged conventional wisdom by suggesting that life's true meaning can be uncovered through a deeper understanding of its underlying dynamics. Schopenhauer's philosophy doesn't offer quick fixes or easy answers. Instead, it presents a path toward profound self-awareness and personal transformation. At the heart of Schopenhauer's thought is the concept of will, a force that drives every aspect of existence. This will manifest not just in our actions, but also in the unconscious desires and compulsions that shape our lives. It's the unseen hand pulling the strings, often leading us down paths we might otherwise avoid. To truly grasp life, Schopenhauer argues, we must confront this will head-on. This journey begins with a fundamental shift in perspective, seeing reality not as a collection of discrete events, but as an interconnected web of cause and effect. Each action we take is both the result of past decisions and the catalyst for future outcomes. By embracing this holistic view, we begin to see how our choices today can ripple through time, influencing everything from personal relationships to professional ambitions. Schopenhauer's philosophy suggests that true understanding comes not just from observing life, but by actively engaging with its complexities. This engagement is about more than mere participation. It's about becoming an active architect of one's existence. By recognizing the role of will in our lives, we can start to break free from patterns of behavior that no longer serve us and forge new paths. One of Schopenhauer's most intriguing ideas is the concept of the cheat codes for reality. This isn't a shortcut to avoiding challenges, but rather a key to unlocking deeper levels of personal truth. It involves not just accepting life's difficulties, but embracing them as opportunities for growth. Each obstacle we face, from professional setbacks to personal heartbreaks, becomes a chance to peel back another layer of our psyche and uncover the hidden motivations that drive us. To illustrate this point, consider how many people respond to failure by either withdrawing or doubling down on ineffective strategies. Schopenhauer's approach encourages us to take a third path, introspection. By examining why we fail and what drives us to make certain choices, we can identify core beliefs and behaviors that may be holding us back. This process isn't always comfortable. It often requires facing uncomfortable truths about ourselves, but it is essential for personal growth. Moreover, Schopenhauer's teachings highlight the importance of art in this journey toward deeper understanding. For him, true beauty lies not just in the object, but in its ability to reveal something profound about existence itself. Art becomes a window through which we can glimpse the underlying truth behind appearances. This is why so many artists throughout history have sought to capture more than just what they see. They aim to convey an essence that resonates beyond mere aesthetics. Art, in this sense, isn't merely decorative or entertaining. It's a vehicle for self-reflection and insight. When we engage with great works of art, whether through painting, music, literature, or film, we are invited to question our assumptions about the world around us. We see patterns emerge that suggest deeper truths about human nature and existence. This is why Schopenhauer believed that true enlightenment comes not from ignoring life's challenges, but by diving into them with a critical eye. The cheat code for reality isn't a set of rules or strategies to apply externally. It's an internal shift in perspective. It requires us to embrace the complexities of will and use these insights as tools for personal transformation. By doing so, we not only face our fears, but also uncover hidden strengths within ourselves. Consider the example of someone struggling with addiction. Conventional wisdom might suggest that overcoming addiction is about resisting temptation or finding external solutions. Schopenhauer's approach would be different. It involves understanding why one turns to substances in the first place and exploring the underlying psychological drivers behind this behavior. This introspective journey can lead to profound self-awareness and the path toward genuine healing. Similarly, in professional contexts, someone facing career stagnation might look for external solutions like new jobs or training programs. Schopenhauer's philosophy would encourage looking inward. What drives ambition? What unfulfilled desires lie beneath the surface? By addressing these deeper issues, one can often find more sustainable and fulfilling paths forward. In conclusion, while Schopenhauer's teachings may seem daunting at first glance, inviting us to confront our deepest fears and uncertainties, they offer a powerful path toward personal growth and fulfillment. They challenge us to see life not just as it appears on the surface, but as an interconnected web of experiences that hold profound meaning. Embracing this perspective isn't about finding easy solutions or escaping difficulties. Rather, it's about transforming challenges into opportunities for self-discovery. By facing our deepest fears and uncovering hidden truths about ourselves, we can begin to craft lives filled with greater wisdom, resilience, and purpose. This is the true essence of Schopenhauer's cheat codes for reality, a path toward enlightenment that begins with embracing life's complexities. The concept of music as the purest form of reality is an intriguing idea that resonates deeply with the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer. In his works, Schopenhauer delves into the nature of human existence and our quest for meaning beyond mere appearances. He believed in a profound interconnection between life's complexities and our deepest desires, suggesting that true fulfillment lies not in seeking external validation or transient pleasures, but in confronting and understanding the essence of reality. Schopenhauer's philosophy is often described as challenging and sometimes bleak, urging us to question the purpose behind our ambitions and desires. At its core, his teachings offer a path toward enlightenment through self-reflection and acceptance. The idea that music encapsulates this purest form of reality comes from Schopenhauer's belief in the power of art to reveal the underlying truth of existence. Music, according to Schopenhauer, has an almost magical ability to transcend the boundaries of language and thought, connecting us directly with our innermost feelings and experiences. It is a universal language that bypasses the superficial layers of everyday life, allowing for a profound connection between the artist and the audience. This connection isn't just emotional, it's philosophical, leading us into an exploration of the deeper meanings hidden beneath the surface. Schopenhauer saw music as the purest form of reality because it communicates directly with the will, bypassing the intellect and the senses. In this sense, music is a cheat code for reality, a way to access truths that are otherwise hard to articulate or understand. It's not about escaping reality, but rather seeing through its illusions to grasp the deeper, more meaningful aspects of our existence. The philosopher believed that life presents us with an endless array of challenges and desires, often leading us astray from true fulfillment. He argued that we must confront these challenges head-on, using them as opportunities for personal growth and enlightenment. This approach contrasts sharply with the notion of seeking easy solutions or quick fixes to life's problems. In embracing Schopenhauer's philosophy, one is encouraged to view life as a complex web of experiences interconnected through underlying truths. These truths are not easily discernible, but require deep introspection and self-awareness. By facing our deepest fears and uncovering hidden aspects of ourselves, we can begin to craft lives that are more aligned with our true nature and purpose. Schopenhauer's teachings invite us into a world where appearances often mask deeper realities. He challenged the idea that fulfillment comes from external achievements or possessions, instead advocating for an inner journey toward self-understanding and acceptance. This path is not easy. It requires courage to confront the uncertainties of life and the willingness to embrace the complexities inherent in human existence. Music serves as a powerful tool in this philosophical exploration. It transcends cultural barriers and personal histories, providing a direct link between the artist's will and that of the listener. Through music, Schopenhauer believed we could glimpse the unadulterated truth of reality, a truth stripped bare of societal expectations and individual desires. In embracing Schopenhauer's philosophy, one begins to see life as a series of interconnected experiences, each holding profound meaning if approached with an open mind and heart. This perspective transforms challenges into opportunities for self-discovery, fostering resilience and wisdom in the face of adversity. It encourages us to seek fulfillment not through external validation, but by embracing our innermost selves. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's cheat code for reality is about finding deeper meaning within life's complexities. By confronting our deepest fears and desires, we can uncover hidden truths that lead to personal growth and enlightenment. This path isn't about avoiding difficulties, but rather transforming them into catalysts for self-awareness and understanding. Music, as the purest form of reality according to Schopenhauer, offers a profound insight into this transformative journey. It invites us to look beyond surface-level experiences and delve into the heart of our existence, revealing truths that are both beautiful and challenging. Through such introspection and connection, we can craft lives filled with greater wisdom, resilience, and purpose. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "Man can do what he wills, but not will what he wills." This quote encapsulates the essence of his philosophy. Life is a series of challenges that test our ability to transcend beyond mere existence and find meaning within struggle. In today's world filled with constant distractions and superficial happiness, Schopenhauer's insights offer us a profound cheat code for reality. It is not about bypassing difficulties, but rather transforming them into opportunities for personal growth and enlightenment. Schopenhauer believed that life's hardships are inevitable and that true fulfillment does not come from external achievements or validation. Instead, it arises through an inward journey towards self-discovery and understanding. His philosophy encourages us to confront our deepest fears and desires, embracing the complexities of existence as a means to uncover hidden truths about ourselves and the world around us. At the core of Schopenhauer's teachings is the notion that life is essentially driven by will, a relentless force that compels us towards pleasure and away from pain. This constant striving creates a cycle of dissatisfaction, for no matter how much we achieve or acquire, there always seems to be something more we desire. However, by recognizing this fundamental aspect of human nature, Schopenhauer suggests an alternative path, one where we embrace the limitations imposed by life's challenges rather than resist them. Schopenhauer's approach is not about resigning oneself to a pessimistic outlook, but rather understanding that true happiness lies in accepting our inherent condition and finding contentment within it. He encourages us to look beyond immediate gratification and seek deeper, more enduring sources of fulfillment. This perspective transforms adversities into opportunities for self-awareness and growth. Central to Schopenhauer's philosophy is the concept of art as a means to transcend everyday reality. Music, in particular, serves as an avenue for experiencing truth and beauty beyond our mundane lives. He believed that music encapsulates the essence of life itself, its struggles, joys, and everything in between, in a way that words or other forms of expression cannot fully capture. In his treatise, The World as Will and Representation, Schopenhauer describes how music can convey pure emotion and universal truths without resorting to concrete imagery. It bypasses the intellect, directly engaging with the soul, allowing us to connect with deeper aspects of ourselves and others in a profound manner. This direct emotional connection fosters empathy and understanding, vital components for personal growth and societal harmony. Through music and other forms of art, Schopenhauer invites us to look beyond surface-level experiences and delve into the heart of our existence. It is through this introspection that we can uncover hidden truths about ourselves and the world, revealing insights that are both beautiful and challenging. By embracing these complexities, we begin to see life's hardships not as obstacles, but as catalysts for personal transformation. Schopenhauer's philosophy also emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and contemplation. He encourages us to regularly engage in introspection to better understand our motivations, desires, and fears. This process helps us recognize patterns in our behavior and thought that may be hindering our growth or causing unnecessary suffering. By identifying these patterns, we can begin to make conscious changes towards a more fulfilling life. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's insights into compassion play a crucial role in his philosophy. He believed that by understanding the struggles of others through empathy and compassion, we can transcend our own egocentric views and find deeper meaning within our relationships with others. This sense of interconnectedness fosters community and collective well-being, essential components for creating a more harmonious society. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's cheat code for reality is about finding deeper meaning within life's complexities. It encourages us to confront our deepest fears and desires, transforming them into opportunities for self-awareness and understanding. By embracing the challenges of existence as part of our journey towards personal growth, we can craft lives filled with greater wisdom, resilience, and purpose. In today's fast-paced world where superficial happiness is often sought after at the expense of deeper fulfillment, Schopenhauer's teachings offer a refreshing perspective. They remind us that true satisfaction comes from within, through self-reflection, empathy, and embracing life's challenges as opportunities for growth. By adopting these principles, we can navigate the complexities of reality with greater wisdom and resilience, crafting lives rich in meaning and purpose. So, whether you're facing personal adversity or seeking a deeper understanding of your place in this world, Schopenhauer's philosophy provides invaluable guidance. It offers not just a path through life's challenges, but also a way to transform them into catalysts for profound self-discovery and enlightenment. As we delve into the complexities of modern existence, it becomes increasingly apparent that our pursuit of happiness often falls short of true fulfillment. In today's world, where instant gratification and fleeting pleasures are readily available, deeper contentment remains elusive for many. However, an old philosopher offers a profound perspective on finding meaning in life's challenges, Arthur Schopenhauer. Born in 1788 to a wealthy family in Danzig, Germany, Schopenhauer was an intellectual prodigy who would later become one of the most influential and enigmatic philosophers in history. His philosophy is often characterized by its pessimistic view of existence, but beneath this surface lies a treasure trove of wisdom that can profoundly shape our approach to life. Schopenhauer's core idea revolves around the concept that all human desires are ultimately futile because they arise from an insatiable will to live, which he termed the will. According to him, this relentless drive leads us through cycles of desire and frustration with no ultimate satisfaction. This inherent dissatisfaction drives much of our discontent in life. However, Schopenhauer doesn't merely present a grim outlook on human existence. Rather, he offers a path towards inner peace and fulfillment by understanding and embracing the nature of reality. The philosopher suggests that true happiness comes not from seeking external pleasures, but from transcending the relentless pursuit of desires through self-reflection, empathy, and facing life's challenges head-on. One of Schopenhauer's key insights is the importance of recognizing our interconnectedness with others. He believed that compassion and understanding towards fellow beings are essential for personal growth and moral development. By empathizing with others' struggles, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the human condition and find solace in shared experiences. Schopenhauer also emphasized the significance of self-awareness as a means to navigate life's challenges. He advocated that introspection is crucial not only for understanding oneself but also for realizing that our desires often stem from irrational fears and societal pressures rather than genuine needs or true happiness. Through this process, we can break free from the chains of unfulfilled desires and find contentment in who we are. Another critical aspect of Schopenhauer's philosophy is his view on suffering as a catalyst for growth. Rather than seeing pain and adversity as obstacles to be avoided at all costs, he encouraged embracing them as transformative experiences. By confronting our difficulties head-on, we can develop resilience, wisdom, and a deeper sense of purpose. In the modern context, Schopenhauer's teachings offer a stark contrast to contemporary notions of happiness. In today's fast-paced world, where superficial satisfaction is often sought after through material possessions or fleeting pleasures, his philosophy reminds us that true fulfillment comes from within, through self-reflection, empathy, and embracing life's challenges as opportunities for growth. Consider the daily grind many people face in urban environments, relentless work hours, social pressures, and constant demands. In such an environment, it's easy to lose sight of personal aspirations and deeper desires. Schopenhauer suggests that by adopting his principles, we can find a sense of calm amidst chaos, recognizing that true happiness lies not in external achievements, but in inner contentment. Moreover, Schopenhauer's concept of the will as the driving force behind human actions provides a framework for understanding our motivations and behaviors. By becoming aware of this underlying will, individuals can gain control over their desires, leading to more balanced lives. This awareness enables us to distinguish between genuine needs and fleeting whims, fostering a sense of clarity and purpose. Empathy plays a crucial role in Schopenhauer's philosophy as well. In a world where individualism often prevails, he encourages recognizing the shared human experience across all societal boundaries. By connecting with others through compassion and understanding, we can foster stronger communities and personal relationships built on mutual respect and support. In practical terms, applying Schopenhauer's teachings means prioritizing introspection over external validation, embracing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to avoid, and fostering empathy in all aspects of life. These principles help us navigate the complexities of modern existence with greater wisdom and resilience, crafting lives rich in meaning and purpose. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's philosophy provides a powerful cheat code for reality, a set of insights that enable us to transform our relationship with challenges into pathways towards personal enlightenment. By embracing his teachings, we can find fulfillment amidst the chaos, discovering deeper connections within ourselves and others. This path is not always easy, but it offers profound rewards in terms of inner peace and a more meaningful existence. Amidst the cacophony of contemporary life, where distractions abound and superficial achievements are often lauded, one philosopher stands out as a beacon for those seeking deeper meaning than personal fulfillment: Arthur Schopenhauer. Born in 1788, Schopenhauer lived in an era marked by rapid societal change and intellectual ferment. His writings, characterized by their profound insights into the human condition and reality itself, offer a unique perspective on how to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and resilience. Schopenhauer's philosophy is rooted in the idea that the world we perceive is fundamentally shaped by our desires and will to live. According to him, this relentless drive compels us towards constant seeking and dissatisfaction. In his most famous work, The World as Will and Representation, Schopenhauer outlines a bleak yet penetrating view of existence. Life is inherently problematic because it revolves around unending desire. However, within this seemingly pessimistic framework lies a powerful tool for transformation, a cheat code, if you will, capable of turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. This cheat code isn't about escaping reality or seeking superficial happiness. Rather, it's about understanding and transcending our desires to achieve a higher state of consciousness. The core of Schopenhauer's advice revolves around introspection and self-awareness. He encourages individuals to look inward, examining their motivations, fears, and desires without judgment. Through this process, one can begin to see the cyclical nature of desire-driven actions. We want something, we strive for it, we achieve it briefly, only to find that the satisfaction is fleeting. This insight forms the basis of Schopenhauer's critique on traditional notions of success and happiness. Schopenhauer argues that true contentment doesn't stem from external achievements, but rather from an internal transformation. By understanding our desires and their transient nature, we can begin to let go of the incessant pursuit of external validation. This is not about giving up or retreating into a life of inaction. Instead, it's about finding balance and purpose beyond material gains. One practical application of this philosophy involves embracing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to avoid. In today's world, where instant gratification is often the norm, Schopenhauer's teachings encourage us to view difficulties and setbacks not as roadblocks, but as essential steps on our path towards personal development. Each challenge offers a chance to reflect, learn, and evolve. Furthermore, fostering empathy and compassion emerges as another crucial aspect of applying Schopenhauer's insights in modern life. By understanding that others are also driven by the same fundamental desires and fears we experience, we can build stronger connections based on mutual respect and support. This empathetic approach not only enriches our relationships, but also helps create a more compassionate community. Schopenhauer's emphasis on introspection leads to another key practice: meditation or contemplation. By regularly engaging in these practices, individuals can develop a clearer understanding of their inner world and the transient nature of external circumstances. Meditation serves as a powerful tool for cultivating detachment from desires and achieving a state of calmness amidst life's turbulence. In practical terms, implementing Schopenhauer's teachings means prioritizing personal growth over superficial achievements. It involves recognizing that true fulfillment comes from within and can only be achieved through self-reflection and continuous learning. This approach challenges conventional wisdom by suggesting that the path to contentment lies not in accumulating more possessions or accolades, but in understanding ourselves better. Schopenhauer's philosophy also has profound implications for how we perceive time and existence. He argues that life is a fleeting moment, and every second we spend chasing after desires is a second wasted on illusion. By embracing this perspective, individuals can live more mindfully, appreciating each moment as it passes, rather than constantly reaching towards an unattainable future. Moreover, Schopenhauer's ideas challenge us to reevaluate our concept of success. In a world where success often equates to financial stability and social status, his teachings encourage us to redefine what it means to be successful in life. Success becomes less about achieving external goals and more about personal growth, inner peace, and a deeper connection with oneself. In essence, Schopenhauer's philosophy provides a powerful cheat code for reality, a set of insights that enable us to transform our relationship with challenges into pathways towards enlightenment. By embracing his teachings, we can find fulfillment amidst the chaos, discovering deeper connections within ourselves and others. This path is not always easy, it requires dedication and introspection. Yet, it offers profound rewards in terms of inner peace and a more meaningful existence. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's legacy continues to resonate because his insights offer timeless wisdom for navigating life's complexities with greater depth and understanding. In an era where superficial solutions often dominate the discourse on happiness and fulfillment, Schopenhauer's teachings remind us that true contentment lies in personal transformation and a deeper connection with our inner selves. So, whether you're facing personal challenges or seeking to deepen your relationships, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a roadmap for achieving greater meaning and peace. By adopting his principles of introspection, empathy, and embracing challenges as opportunities, we can forge a path towards enlightenment and fulfillment in an ever-changing world. Amidst life's chaos, we often find ourselves in search of solutions that promise instant gratification and relief from the burdens of existence. Yet, as philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once pointed out, such quick fixes are merely illusions that mask deeper issues within us. His teachings offer a profound antidote to this malaise, a philosophy that champions self-examination and a genuine connection with one's inner life. In an age where distractions abound and superficial solutions reign supreme, Schopenhauer's insights provide a unique lens through which we can navigate the complexities of human existence with greater depth and understanding. Schopenhauer's philosophy revolves around the idea that suffering is intrinsic to the human condition, arising not just from external circumstances but also from our own desires and attachments. He argues that true happiness cannot be found in the pursuit of pleasure or material success. Rather, it lies in transcending these superficial goals through an act of inner transformation. This process requires us to confront our deepest fears, embrace our vulnerabilities, and cultivate a profound sense of empathy towards others. One of Schopenhauer's most enduring contributions is his emphasis on the importance of introspection. In today's fast-paced world, where technology and social media often foster an environment of instant gratification and superficial connection, taking time for self-reflection can seem like a daunting task. Yet, it is precisely this act of looking inward that Schopenhauer saw as essential to personal growth and enlightenment. Schopenhauer believed in the power of understanding our own nature, our desires, fears, and limitations to gain control over them rather than being controlled by them. This perspective encourages us to see challenges not merely as obstacles but as opportunities for personal development. By embracing these challenges, we can begin to peel away layers of superficiality and uncover a more authentic version of ourselves. Furthermore, Schopenhauer's teachings highlight the importance of empathy in building meaningful relationships with others. In an era where individualism often takes precedence over community, his philosophy reminds us that true fulfillment comes from connecting deeply with those around us. This empathetic approach fosters a sense of shared humanity and mutual support, which are vital for navigating life's trials. At the heart of Schopenhauer's doctrine lies the concept of embracing reality rather than attempting to escape it through illusions or distractions. In an age where escapism has become increasingly prevalent, be it through excessive consumption, mindless entertainment, or social media, the call to confront and understand our own realities becomes all the more urgent. Schopenhauer's message is not one of despair, but of empowerment. By acknowledging the inherent suffering in life, we are liberated from the illusion that happiness can be found elsewhere. This acceptance enables us to focus on what truly matters: personal growth, meaningful connections, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place within the world. The practical implications of Schopenhauer's teachings are far-reaching and can transform various aspects of life. In personal relationships, for instance, embracing his philosophy may mean adopting a more empathetic approach to communication and conflict resolution. It encourages us to listen deeply, understand others' perspectives, and respond with compassion rather than judgment. In the realm of professional life, Schopenhauer's insights can guide us toward finding meaning in our work beyond mere financial gain or societal approval. By focusing on personal fulfillment and the intrinsic value of one's contributions, we can approach our careers with a sense of purpose that transcends external expectations. Moreover, his teachings offer valuable guidance during times of crisis or transition. Instead of resisting change or seeking to return to a perceived idyllic past, Schopenhauer's philosophy encourages us to view such moments as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. This mindset can be particularly transformative in navigating the complexities of modern life, where rapid changes often challenge our sense of stability. The relevance of Schopenhauer's ideas extends beyond individual application to broader societal issues. In an age marked by increasing polarization and division, his emphasis on empathy and understanding could serve as a foundation for fostering greater unity and cooperation among people from diverse backgrounds. By cultivating these qualities in ourselves, we contribute to the creation of more harmonious communities. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's legacy continues to resonate because his insights offer timeless wisdom for navigating life's complexities with greater depth and understanding. In an era where superficial solutions often dominate the discourse on happiness and fulfillment, his teachings remind us that true contentment lies in personal transformation and a deeper connection with our inner selves. Whether you're facing personal challenges or seeking to deepen your relationships, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a roadmap for achieving greater meaning and peace. By adopting his principles of introspection, empathy, and embracing challenges as opportunities, we can forge a path towards enlightenment and fulfillment in an ever-changing world.